Hello, hey Luke. Good morning. Hope all of you are doing fine. I believe it's about 11:10 now, right? So hopefully your stomachs aren't grumbling too much. Today we're gonna work on something that looks like this. What scene do you think this is? Before that, I want to give you an answer to the last quiz question from the last time. So I'm going to take away this image and let's just write things down. So the last time we looked at a proverb which said the best thing, can you complete it? For the inside of a man is the outside of a, what is it? Good, horse. And you were asked to guess what the meaning of this proverb was. So try thinking of a man. Let's just draw him here very simply. And note that right now these proverbs will be quite sexist because everything is about men and where are the women. So let's just make a gender neutral person here. It could be man or woman. And let's look at a little horsey. A little tail. Okay, now it looks like a little bit of a duck, but it's a horse. Okay, use your imagination. So the best thing for the inside of a man is the outside of a horse. Now, the way you think about this proverb is that horses are really strong, and if you have ever touched a horse or have ever ridden a horse, you know that they are just packed with muscles. So this proverb, can you guess what it's trying to tell you to do? It just says, it's quite cheeky by doing this, telling you to get some exercise. There you go. So that's the answer from the last time. Note this down if you have an answer that's different, and note how it's different. Remember, we worked on notes last time and how you can use your own words to write your own notes. And by doing so, not only will you become much better at writing, but you will be better at critical thinking. So that's all about horses and men today. Let's take this away and let's look at your course book at text 1A. So take out your course books. Text 1A is on page 2. And I guess it has this image on it, right? And it will look something like this. Let me just set this up here. I realized I hadn't set it up yet. This one. Okay, so it's a really rough screen. Here you go. That is text 1A, right? So the goal of today's lesson is to be able to identify notes, to identify key events from a passage and summarize them. So the goal for today is to identify key events in a passage and use a combination of your words and the words of the writer to write a short summary. And I will show you what format I want you to write this summary in. It's more of a note summary rather than a paragraph summary. And if we're able to write this summary, then we're able to know what's going on in a passage. And if we're able to do that, then we can do a lot of things with literature. Okay, everybody have your course books out? Page 2. Before I go on, I just want to thank the relief teacher for being there. I think it's Miss Xiao today, and then after this period, it'll be Mr. Gladwin. Let's just read. I'm just going to read it to you because it'll be hard for me to hear you guys read. On 24th August, in the early afternoon, a cloud appeared over the Bay of Naples. The general appearance of the cloud rising from the mountain can be best expressed as being like an umbrella pine, for it rose to a great height on a kind of trunk and then split off into branches. In places it looked white, elsewhere blotched and dirty, according to the amount of soil and ashes it carried with it. So that's paragraph 1. Now, your task today, in not your learning book 1, but your learning book 2, is to write down notes of the events that have occurred. So without further ado, we're just going to go into it. Take this away and get us back to our sketchbook, and there is the first paragraph. So we're gonna work through this together. Let's use a nice blue. What's going on here? How strange. It's not letting me write. Why? How strange is this? Not too sure what's going on. This thing has just freezed up. Okay. Let's try now. For some reason it's back. So we're looking at this passage and we're going to highlight the things that are the events that occurred, while not missing out on the descriptions. So we're going to do two things. We're going to highlight the events that occurred, so key bits of information, and to not miss out on the descriptions used to convey the events. So let's look at this. First sentence. On 24th August in the early afternoon, a cloud appeared over the Bay of Naples. So I'm just going to highlight here. It'll be hard to highlight in your books, but you can just take a mental note of this. So on 24th August in the early afternoon, a cloud. So what appeared? A cloud. We're talking about clouds here. Over the Bay of Naples. The general appearance of the cloud rising from the mountain can be best expressed as being like an umbrella pine. Now, I'm not that eager to put this part in, and can you see why? I'm wondering whether you can see why I'm not so eager to put it in. This part here. The general appearance of the cloud rising from the mountain can be best expressed. Now what I want instead is this. I want this part. Like an umbrella pine. Wow, that's a really yucky color. Like an umbrella pine. Slightly better. For it rose to a great height on a kind of trunk and then split off into branches. So think of this as, oh, that's interesting. No. Anyway, I can't really draw on anything else, so okay. Let's try this. Okay, great. So it's a little trunk that rose to a great height above the sky and then split off into branches. In places it looked white, elsewhere blotched and dirty. So what we want is the movement of the cloud. So which part of this next sentence tells you how it moved? Rose, good. And then we want to know where it moved to. So great height. And how did it look like? A kind of trunk. Well, I might just put trunk. A trunk. And then what did it do? Split off into branches. Good. And then we also want to know what it looked like. Not only the movement, but what it physically looked like. So here we go. In places it looked white, elsewhere blotched and dirty. When coming to vocabulary that we might not know, for example, blotched and dirty, what the skilled English speaker does is that they know that blotched is an adjective. It's something that's used to describe a situation. They might not know what it means exactly, but at least they can pinpoint its usage and use it in a sentence. And this last part, according to the amount of soil and ashes it carried with it, I'm not sure whether this is that important because it tells us how the cloud formed, but it doesn't tell us exactly what it looked like. You might say that it contained soil and ashes. Okay? So that's the first paragraph. That's how we dissect it. That's how we take it apart and make it our own. Now take out your learning book too, a new book. If you don't have one, scurry down to the bookshop and come down quickly, get a pass from Miss Xiao, because we're going to write our own notes. So I'm going to switch very quickly here to a little notebook. Let's take this, we take this away and put in this. Alright, so open to a new page and write this down, descriptive accounts. Descriptive accounts. Remember, you should have done your index and you should have labeled all your pages with numbers on the bottom outer corners. Descriptive accounts. You might even add text 1A. And don't forget the date, which is 11th of January 2018. Now here are the instructions. Take a note of this. Look at how I've sectioned the page. There is white space on the left and there's a little line here to create our own little margin on the right. You probably just want to leave about 5 centimeters of space. So on the left we're going to write the events that have occurred, and on the right we're going to write all instances of descriptive vocabulary. So write the instructions down. Here we go. Write down the events of August 29, 24, 79 AD, before we were born, in chronological order. Chronological order means in the sequence of which things happen. So in the sequence in which things they occurred, things occurred, occurred. Be sure to include descriptions of events. Highlight or put a box around words you would like to know the meaning of. Once you're done with that, I'm going to demo. Once you're done with that, forgot to write the instructions over on this side. Write the instructions on this side, which is make a list of evocative vocabulary here. Now I just ask you to make a list. If you're an advanced learner, AL, you want to push yourself a little further, you will find the meanings of these words. Now, some of this list might be phrases, so you won't have to find the meanings of those phrases. But if you have a word like from the first paragraph, there are a couple in there which are great adjectives. And I'm sure you've already noted a few of them. So what word would you put in this column from the first paragraph? Yeah, well, it really looks like a huge mess there. Well, perhaps blotched and dirty. Blotched. So you would write here, you would write blotched. Blotched. So now I've already gone ahead and written this exercise, but it's in white ink so you can't see it. So instead of blotched, I would put blotched because it's just easier to find the meaning of blotched than blotched. So blotched. And then I put the meaning: an irregular patch or unsightly mark on the surface, typically the skin. There you go. And if you want, you can draw a little photo there, a little picture of something with blotches. Alright. Moving on. So I'm going to show you how to write the notes for the first paragraph, and then you're going to spend the rest of the lesson filling out notes for the whole of this passage. I'm going to help you as well. I'm going to show you what I have, the rough skeleton of the notes I have. The paragraph is nicely sequenced into events that talk about certain features of nature. So when you look through it, you'll see that one part talks about the clouds, one part talks about ash, one part talks about fire, one part talks about an earthquake, the next about the sea being sucked away, receding farther and farther out, one part about a huge black cloud above being torn by streaks of fire. Then it goes back, the cloud sinks to the earth like a flood, the cloud clears out so you can see each other again, and then lastly everything is left buried in ashes. So if you can get that whole chronology, that whole sequence of events written down with all the descriptive accounts, all the different descriptive words, then you have succeeded in this exercise. So let's take a look at our sketchbook. So when writing notes, you try as much as possible to write it in your own words. Write it in your own words. So I will sequence things. One, first start off with important information on 24th August in the early afternoon. Remember your commas. A cloud appeared over, and you need to say these things because we need to know where a cloud appeared over the Bay of Naples. Alright. And then we've discussed this earlier, we don't really want this tedious wordy phrase, the general appearance of the cloud rising from the mountain. So we're just going to, like a reporter, write down notes to this, okay? What does this cloud look like? Like an umbrella pine. And I don't know what an umbrella pine looks like, but I know what an umbrella is. So I can just go ahead and draw an umbrella and maybe make it look like a big tree. So maybe it looks like that, okay? And then what did this cloud look like? It rose to a great height. Like, and I don't like this phrase kind of, because it is not precise in its wordings. And it doesn't really help us because it's not very descriptive. It's rather wishy-washy, rather ambiguous, not clear. So I'm just going to take it away and just say like a trunk. Like a tree trunk. And then like a trunk and then I don't like, and then I would much prefer to use which, a tree trunk, which. Split off into branches. Great. And again, I might do a little drawing to help me to see this, and I like using different colors. Now your words in this book, I prefer you to write in either black or blue, but when you draw, you can use different colors. So it's a trunk that rose really high and split off into branches. Alright. So back to here. So what else happened? What else does it look like? It looked white. And I might just make it really simple, just say white, blotched, blotched, and dirty. In places. Now I love this word blotched, so I don't really know what it means, but I would like to find out. So I'm just gonna highlight it, blotched, and look for other things I might want to highlight. Blotched. I guess that's the main thing from this paragraph. You see anything else that's interesting to you, please go ahead and highlight it. As long as you don't highlight the whole thing. Blotched and dirty in places. And lastly, what else is there? That's the last thing. Lastly, what did this cloud consist of? Okay, good. Soil and ashes. If you look in the last sentence of this paragraph, soil and ashes. So soil, and I might not want to say soil and ashes because the cloud appeared soil and ashes. You have to say what relation does soil and ashes, what relation do these two things have in relation to the cloud? So I'm going to use my own words here. That's where you can show off your vocabulary. That's why we do summaries, so that we show that we can take somebody else's words and make it our own. And if we can do that accurately, that means we're able to understand what somebody else has written. It shows competence, shows that you got skills. So use the skill of writing things in your own words here. So I'm going to write consists. It means it contains, it's made up of, consists of soil and ashes. Great. So that's all you write for number 1. Do the same, go through the whole passage, and at the end you'll have something like this. Take this away. At the end you have something that looks like this. Looks like this. The cloud appeared over the Bay of Naples. Cloud was like an umbrella pine. It rose to a great height on a trunk and then split off into branches, white in places, elsewhere blotched and dirty. And remember to highlight the words that you might want to know. Oops, not color, highlight. Alright, and then write it on the right hand side if you can, and find a definition if you are an advanced learner. If you want to push yourself a little further, find an explanation. So I'm going to show you what other words I highlighted that I want to know the meaning to. Pumice, blackened, debris, not debris, debris. The S is silent. And some of them I found meanings to, and some of them I haven't. Okay. And if we go down further, you will see that I've written down phrases, broad sheets of fire, leaping flames, blaze. So go ahead and finish this. This is due on the 15th of this month. So I'm going to give you, let's just do this. Oh. Put this away. So homework. For today, it's finish your notes on the descriptive accounts. What is an account? An account is like a report or statement made about an event or experience. So this guy, Pliny the Younger, is giving his account, his report of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius on Pompeii. So finish this, due 15th January. And the last time we spoke about getting some posters done. And this is also due on the 15th of January. So I think you have your hands full. Go ahead and finish this. Today, please hand in your learning books 1. Please make sure your index is complete. It has your Wordle, your Proverbs, and your quiz in it. And then put it on my table. I'll come and collect it tomorrow after school, or I might even be in school. I'm going for a little procedure later to close up my wound. Hopefully it will go well and I'll be able to walk. Alright guys. Thanks very much. Have a good day.